What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this very special live stream segment of For the People podcast. And of course, I am your humble host, Niko House. Today I have for you guys a very special guest, Amanda Seales, activist. We're not going to call her an actress because she takes that personally. Comedian, thespian, all around amazing person. Now, world-renowned debater at this point. And you know, personally, I can appreciate that. So I want you all to welcome to the show, Amanda Seales. Thank you so much for joining, Amanda. Appreciate you.
You must have watched my interview with Savvy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because I was like, please don't call me an actress, please. Please.
And I like the point that you made about, you know, it's funny, the point that you made about politicians, a lot of them being failed actors. My friend who actually he's a journalist who's worked in Hollywood, he was like, yeah, like there are a lot of politicians who are literally failed actors. I'm like, I thought he was joking. And when you said it too, I was like, oh shit, that's a real thing. But you know,
you can't tell me that Richie Torres didn't want to be an actor. Like you just can't. You can't tell me. Like I'm like, this is an actor. This is an actor.
Adam Schiff back in the day, the way like he used to like get emotional, and you know, because of you being a thespian, a public speaker, and things like that, there are certain ways, like cadences you speak in, ways that you read scripts, if you will, that kind of like lets you know when someone has literally had professional training of some kind. And a lot of the times, it's acting training. It's like they were failed actors. They're not even that good at it. Like they don't even sell their policy, their bullshit that well. And at the end of the day, so it makes sense that they didn't do well in Hollywood. Amanda, thank you so much for coming out to the show. I know that you are a very, very busy lady as of late, for all the right reasons. I do want to go.
I'm just busy because I have to make all my own money. That's why I'm busy, because I have to find 7 ways. I mean, because I'm busy because capitalism. Because in order for me to pay my property taxes,
just property taxes.
Just property taxes.
Bro, that's why I don't live in the U.S. anymore. That was my final nail in the coffin. Whenever my brother bought his house and he was paying less with property tax included per year than he was paying for his apartment, and then 3 years later, all of a sudden he was paying more for decisions that he didn't even make because of property tax. I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I got that bill the other day and was like, I need to get on the pole.
Look, ain't no shame in it now. Yeah, I told my boss, I said, hey, if this thing don't work, you know, I still be in the gym about 3-4 days a week now. Don't play with me.
I'm here for it.
So I know that you've had a lot of conversations about this, but I gotta just broach this topic.
No, I haven't had the right conversation, so go for it.
This Jubilee debate, okay, from my perspective, it was amazing to watch for a few reasons. One, just from I'm a debater by like, that was what I did in high school, literally almost every single Saturday. I was trained by one of the best in the world, like who's ever done it. His name is Ronald McBride, and I debated in the best debate district, and I was considered the best in the state at one point, one of the best in the country.
You better be the best in the state in the country. Okay.
Oh, it was actually a very controversial thing. I got kicked out. There was a whole conspiracy to kick me out because the other coaches' exact words were, "We're not going to let some poor black boy ruin our kids' chances at opportunity." Oh yeah, no, it was a thing. Yeah, it was a whole thing. Yeah, it was
I love a controversial young person. I
didn't think I was that controversial, but when everybody realized, I was also in the hardest debate event, which is student Congress. So you're in a room with like 25 other people, and you're actually kind of in a performance the entire tournament. They're judging you, so you get judged for your speeches, for how you get bills passed, for how you interact with the other people. If you could get bills introduced, if you're prepared for both sides of an argument. Oh yeah, it was difficult the first year because I did well the first tournament. I got fourth place, which was like insane, and no one was expecting that. And then like after that, my coach put me in varsity, and I got my ass handed to me for the rest of the year. But it's because he wanted me to absorb the information and also keep my ego in check, because he knew I was like a really competitive person. So he knew like I wasn't gonna let it slide. So like the next year I came back, and it was just like it was over. I was out here giving speeches with no book, nothing.
Remember everything.
Yeah, hey, real talk. I would show up and with my notebook like this, and I would just to mess with them, and I would just put it behind my back and recite my speech off the top of my head. Like, yeah, I don't even know why I brought this up here, my bad. Yeah, they were just showing up to the tournament to figure out, yo, man, like, who's going to get second place is basically what was happening.
You better Simone Biles these folks in the debate. You better Simone Biles them in the debate. Yes.
I loved it. It was a headache that first year because I never wanted to do debate. I actually wanted to do humorous interpretation because I thought I was a pretty funny dude. What is that? It's basically you read off of a script. Your coach helps you pick a script from a book or from like a TV show, and you recite it and add your own elements to it. And like I said, I thought I was a funny guy, and I thought I was going to be an actor one day. And my debate coach was like, "No, we're not going to waste your talents." And I was like, "But I don't want to do debate." He was like, "Well, you're going to do debate." So because he knew like
I've never done any type of debate. Like Mark Lamont Hill had actually told me you should do debates because he does debates all the time. And I was like, I don't want to have to deal with people like in that way. Like I feel like I have to debate in my regular life so much, that I just didn't want to have to like subscribe to that as like a way of life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's already a way of life. That's I learned that when I joined debate. It's like you debate in your life every single day, and the difference is whether or not you're well equipped to win those debates, because some of those debates can actually alter the course of your life, right? Whether it be a job interview, whether it be your friends, whether it be trying to converse with your family in a way that they can understand.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, I feel like I'm already doing that, like in my regular life. That I didn't want that to be like my career life. That's
no, I understand. I understand what you mean. For me, it was like because it became my career, that's how I got good at it. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. I love debate to this day, bro. I love debating so much that actually it's kind of sad because now no one wants to debate me anymore because after I embarrassed so many people, like Destiny and this guy, Dr. Ben Burgess from the University of Rutgers, his job, he actually taught argumentation and logic. And you couldn't tell by the end of the debate. He thought like it was clear also that he just didn't take me seriously. I think that he just went to Twitter and assumed that like a personality that he pulled and put together from things that I tweeted like was who I would be in a debate, and it didn't work out like that. And he got embarrassed twice. And so
that's one guy when I met Kamala.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. Yeah, but I gotta say the Jubilee debate. From a purely argumentative perspective, the way that you were able to dismantle their arguments, and you could tell that they came in with arguments that they were never going to let go of, with a mindset and talking points that they were never going to let go of, no matter what you said. And you could tell that you were educated enough on whatever issue that was being discussed that you could adjust and return back to the arguments. And every time they try to veer away, you're like, no. We're not going to act like you didn't just say that. And we're not going to act like you didn't express my point. Like, so from a purely like debate perspective, I enjoyed breaking down that debate for my audience because this is how you do it. Because people let others distract them. And I like the way that you were still passionate, but you didn't let them distract you. I love that. But also you revealed something that day that I was like trying to get my audience to pay attention to, because I was looking in the eyes of the people that you had just got done talking to, or the people that or while you were debating them, and after you debated them, I'm like, yo, she is having these Black people literally re-question everything they thought about themselves and everything they thought they understood about the world. That was what was crazy to me. Like their face was like, yeah, I didn't even.
Because they came with such conviction that I know was not given to them by other Black people.
Exactly. Or not the right kind.
I just no, even if I don't feel like they're in swaths of Black people that feel this way, like Buddy from Maine, there aren't even swaths of Blacks in Maine.
Yeah. You talking about Buddy with the that didn't get the edge up? That didn't get the edge up before I said, oh no, you was not here to argue about Black issues and you showed up on camera without an edge up. Because there's no way you going back home to a group full of Black people and they not roasting you. You not from where we from. There's no way. It can't be this. I'm just saying, I don't like to be judgmental or stereotypical, but like, bro, everybody I talk to, I say, hey man, so like if I showed up with no edge, like, no, hell no, bro, no, don't do that. Don't embarrass us like that. We don't roast when we get back. But did you feel like the energy shift in the room at one point. Because even when that young lady, which by the way, I felt it was notable that it took a young lady to actually come up there and ask you questions about your points instead of making assumptions like that you had the worst of intentions and that you were just there to be a contrarian. Instead, she asked you to clarify what she didn't understand. And I felt like that was like a demonstration of the difference between a male ego and a woman. Like the inquisition that you, it was very powerful.
So
I was like,
there's things that were cut out. So,
mm-hmm.
She came up there after I had really just like said to the whole room, I'm not paid to be here, bro. Like, I didn't travel across the nation to come sit here for free to have motherfuckers just lie to me the whole time and just say a bunch of dumb shit to try and get on. Like, I'm like that. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to demonstrate discourse that is actually like civil and that shows that you can disagree while still being respectful, because we're all Black people. Like, that's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to show what loving you is, even if I disagree with you. But you not gonna sit up here and play me to my and play in my motherfucking face. I mean, I had to really.
That's basically what they were. A lot of them dudes were saying stuff. I'm like, bro, like,
I had to do that. So then when she came on, she came on next, and she came on after that, and then was like, okay, so let's ground it. Because also they kept calling me liberal, and like, just like I don't want to be called an actor, I don't want to be called a liberal.
That might be worse. Honestly, liberal.
Yeah, it is worse. And so basically, there were 3 or 4 different times over the course of the recording where I had to where I kind of had to do a recalibration of the room because of somebody out of pocket, or, somebody just trying to take the air out of the room in a way that I wasn't there for. And at the end of the day, I'm in the center for a reason. Like I'm in the center there's a reason why I'm the North Star in this conversation. And I'm going to hold that space with reverence. Like, I'm not going to let you just come up here and sun me. But then there was another point.
I'm sure doing what you do, you could tell when somebody's like, bro, y'all just trying to get views and clicks for your little channel.
Yeah, like that was so. I mean, I can read that quick. There was another point where I like led them in a group deep breath, and I led them in a primal scream, and I again reiterated because. I reiterated, and I've said this on other interviews. So if you heard this, you're hearing me say it again. Like, I had to at one point say very clearly to them, this is a different surrounded than any other surrounded, because we are all within the same marginalized group. It's Black people talking to Black people. And even though we have different ideologies, we are still treated the same, whether you believe so or not. And for the record, ain't no Black people in this crew. There ain't not one Black person watching us do this. And yet here we are looking a mess.
Whoa. Oh, wow. I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, it was all white folks and
honestly, because it's like they call, like, y'all gonna get them what they want. They called us in here to watch us act a fool and shit on each other. Like, I mean, to keep it a band, right? Like, that's really what it was. And that's usually how it is whenever they have those conversations. But it's up to people like yourself or somebody like me to like control that narrative. Like, no, let's not let them turn into this, because we can have difference of opinions.
But that doesn't mean we can educate behavior. It's spooked by the door behavior. Like, it'd be different if I was going on Jubilee's 50-11 times. I'm gonna use the space one time to disrupt and to find a positive flip to their attempt to constantly create, content that is toxic. Like, that is the purpose of their channel, right? So, but that doesn't change the fact that that's getting views, that's getting watched, like that's a centerpiece. So it's like, all right, well, how do I flip that? But a lot of times, but you only get one chance to flip, you know what I mean? Or else it flips you. If you keep going back and you keep doing the jaunt, then you're now a part of it. However, you use it for the good, and then you keep it moving.
Yeah, because if you do it right, they usually don't want to have you back.
They don't even want to bring you back. And I don't care what nobody say. Not them personally, or I don't know, maybe they are, but my episode is being suppressed on YouTube because I don't understand how in 48 hours, I had 2.4 million views.
It went crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
And now, and as of what is almost 2 weeks now, and I only have 2.7 million views. Fuck out of here, B.
Yeah, nah, because people have been talking about that for like, to this day, I still see clips going up about it, right? And you still see clips going viral on Instagram, on TikTok.
A random white lady came up to me at the beach, like a middle-aged white woman with her husband, and was like, "Excuse me, did you just do one of those debates on Jubilee?" And I was like, "Yes." She said, "Thank you for your service."
Man, see, look, it's that will. So one thing I've noticed on YouTube, and this is actually something that other YouTubers that aren't even in politics have brought up. There is actually an algorithm that's set out to suppress any conversation about Black people from general Black revolutionaries, especially. But even if you're just broaching Black issues, if it's not within that like limited hangout of the conversation of the things that we're allowed to talk about, whether it be if it's not about BLM, if it's not about whatever Democratic mayor, Kamala Harris or whatever, like we'll get suppressed. If it's not about Democratic Party issues. And I was like, hold up. Is that a thing? And I really started looking into it, and there were so many creators talking about this, and they had nothing to do with politics. I was like, oh shit, this is there was a lawsuit on Instagram as well because of that. Like, so having a genuine conversation between Black people about Black issues can cause you to be harmed in the algorithm, because now you start getting to the how did we get here? And eventually when you get to the how did we get here conversation, you know how that goes. Like, okay, now we're about to talk about systems of oppression. Now we're about to talk about the corrupt institution. Now we're going to talk about history. Now we're going to talk about me. I despise FDR with every fiber of my being. Fair. Because I'm fully aware of what the Fair Housing Act did to Black wealth. And when everybody wants to talk about family and how that, what about the fathers in the home? I'm like, what's the number one cause of divorce? Wealth. What's the number one way to accrue wealth? Real estate. Okay, so what did FDR do? So we always end up getting back to how redlining has affected. Because that was crazy. Whenever you had told him about redlining, he's like, "What? Redlining doesn't exist." I was like, "What?" You know, the last case of redlining was last year. They literally last year, October 2024. That was the last time it was prosecuted, or they settled out of court because they knew because if the bank gets exposed, or if they go to discovery, obviously there's probably going to be more cases that will get exposed.
That was one of the Kamala Biden things, was like, we're going to, work on challenging the discrimination in loans and in appraisals. Like, that's all a part of redlining.
All of it. The urban credit score that nobody likes to talk about. My brother found out about the hard way when he had like a 760 or 770 or something like that. When he went to go buy his car, his superior actually told him, like, let me go with you, because they're going to try to hit you. He's like, well, how did they do that? I got like a 7, but you know my credit score? He's like, yeah, it don't matter. And they did. They tried to hit him with a 7 or 8% interest rate on his brand new car. And he was like, y'all got me fucked up. He said, you know what's crazy? I was going to spend this, because he already took out a check from a credit union. And he just wanted to see what they was going to say. He said, I'm going to go to this dealer, I'm going to go to this dealer, and I'm going to see what they're going to say if I try to get a loan. And he never told them he already had the check in his hand. He just wanted to see what they was going to say. He called me pissed, because he's like, what the fuck? How can they do it? I'm like, because you Black, bro. What does that thing? When they ask what your race and ethnicity is, you got B on there, right? Okay. That's what it comes down to. And he's active duty. Didn't matter. So like those conversations, nobody really wants to have. In my opinion, it's because it shows you when we go back to a conversation about reparations, everybody wants to talk about slavery. I said, you don't got to go that far back. I don't know why we keep talking.
I'm going to stop you real quick. Do you have a moderator in your chat?
I do not have a moderator.
Can you please assign a moderator? I do not come in these spaces for you all to sit up in here and talk about me crazy. I don't know why that is acceptable. I don't know why we allow it, but I'm not here for it. I do have a moderator, but they're not here today. They're not here this morning. Somebody needs to be made moderator.
Who did he get blocked? What did they say?
Barack S. Get this motherfucker out of here. I am so tired of this being allowed and considered just like, some regular shit. Nobody should feel comfortable coming in Black spaces to disrespect other people who are giving their motherfucking time to connect. We're here connecting. You're not disrespecting just me. You disrespecting Niko. You making him look a clown. Telling you acting like he a clown by saying I'm a clown. Fuck out of here.
Nah, say less. All you gotta do is let me know. We don't do the disrespect in the chat, so they know that.
No, this is like a real problem, and it's like I've now become very vocal about it because we have to create spaces where we can have these conversations, where people in the chat can be responding to these conversations amongst each other. Like, we have to create intellectual spaces. And part of that is also like high vibrational spaces. You feel me? Like, and if we're going to be on camera, then we also have to be making sure that is expected in our like, it's hard to do in the comments.
In our Discord, in our dialogue.
It's hard to do in the comments after because like it's after, but like in the middle of it, it's like, it's
because it's a clear attempt to disrupt the space. It's a clear attempt to disrupt the space, right? In my opinion, it's an attempt to get somebody off kilter, to have them unfortunately get unfocused. And now we're having conversations about the validity of the discussions that we're having instead of the discussion itself, which is ridiculous because the discussion is valid. And I mean, every point that you made is valid. Okay, so I heard this story that you told on Sabby Sabso about Kamala. Please talk about that interaction, because whenever you said what, I was like, what? That unfortunately that sounds exactly like Kamala Harris, but like I just can't believe that it was just that direct between you guys. I didn't know that there was like effectively smoke between y'all over this over your advocacy or lack thereof regarding her candidacy.
Well, it wasn't regarding her candidacy. She wasn't the candidate yet. This was in February. Yeah, no. This was in March of 2020, March of 2024. And
she was a candidate. We just didn't know yet. That's all that was.
Fair. Touche. I didn't know. This was at the Bloody Sunday commemoration in Selma. So it was really, I was there for that purpose. And then I guess she heard that I was there. And so a friend of mine was volunteering. And so her aides asked the friend if they could ask me if I would, come through. And so I did. And I mean, it's going to be direct because I don't exist any other way. Like, I'm a direct person. I mean, y'all just witnessed that just now. I just don't see any value. Some people say life is short. I say life is long. We're going to be here a long time. I don't want to use up my time on dumbness. So, I feel like I felt like this was an opportunity to have a sister girl conversation. Were she a sister girl? And I am I'm someone who really is understanding of the dualities, the quadralities that some of us have to play or feel that we have to play, right? And also just the reality of what it is to be in the midst of empire. And I thought it could have been a welcome conversation to make an ally of me as a politician. And I think that's what a lot of people just will never seem to understand with me and politicians. Like, I don't look at politicians as like my friend. I don't look at politicians as my homegirls. I would say the last person I did that with would be Jasmine Crockett. And then as things progressed with the genocide and her failure to align with the individuals in Congress who were really being as loud as they felt they could be, it really just drove a wedge between us, and we just never continued conversing with each other. And so, I think it's really important to, when you have these moments with these folks, I'm not here to like homie you. I'm not here to talk about your French press. I mean, your silk press, your French press. I'm not here to talk about that either. What kind of teas you like?
Hot sauce in your bag.
Yeah, like I'm not here to have that kind of conversation. I'm really, really not. Like, it's politically pressed. Like, I want to talk about the role that you're playing in these positions. The only reason why I would have those conversations would be to find moments of alignment with you and your constituency where you can perhaps see outside of your politicism into your personage, and hopefully that can bring you to some, form of public servitude, which is really what all of us should be looking for from those that we empower, is public servitude. And we simply do not. Like, a lot of people just look for celebrity. They see Kamala Harris, they see a celebrity. And so I think, but we didn't have beef. She had beef. We did not have beef. Because at the end of the day, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, which is to question, to challenge, to praise when it is just. And ultimately, I did not feel like, I was a part of this whole letter of Black women that had been written to Biden to demand that we have a Black vice president, a Black woman vice president, to demand that we have a Black woman added to the Supreme Court. Like, I was a part of all of that. However, I guess what I want so many of us to understand is that you can do that until further notice. So I can stand on that until I see you not standing for me and change my position.
Yeah, so because the point of you doing that was a level of, you were expecting a level of substantive representation. And people, and there's an assumption there a lot of the times. That's when people are very new to the nuances of politics, they don't realize you would think, he's smart enough to know what we're saying, right? We're saying put a Black woman there to represent the best interests of Black people.
No, and I'm gonna push back on that, because that's our fault. That's our fault that we're saying that to him and we're not saying that to her as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
But we can't, because whenever we make demands of Black politicians, it's somehow seen as counter-Blackery.
Yeah, which is crazy. Which is crazy, right? It's hey man, so I got into a lot of debates during when Joe Biden was running for office, because I'm sorry, y'all, I'm not voting for a segregation and sex pest. I don't know, I wouldn't have voted for him 10 years ago. I wouldn't have voted for him 20 years ago. We have 40 years of consistency to look back at. I'm not doing it. And there are some people who just didn't know, which at that point, okay, now I'm here telling you. And I'm telling you as a Black man,
now
I'm not going to do it. What about Trump? Okay, so don't vote for races and instead vote for the literal segregation. The guy who had power and literally was a segregationist with the power. He used legislative power to try and institute and work with races to institute segregationist policies. You're insane. And he's still bragging about the 94 crime bill. He won't even apologize for it. He just capitulates and says what? Well, the Black caucus liked it at the time. They fucking wrong too.
I definitely feel a certain sense of grace for those people, because the noise is so much louder than the truth.
It is.
Right? It's the same way that right now people are saying to me, oh, the Taylor Lorenz article is debunked, simply because they've seen Democrats say it's debunked.
It's the opposite debunked. The way, the coordination of that message.
Because they have said it's been debunked, people are now repeating that, because that's how information works these days. Because when someone said it's been debunked, I said, by whom? And they didn't have a response.
And it was funny, they could see about 15 videos. Yeah, and they're all saying the exact same thing. Yeah, that's super debunked. It doesn't look suspicious at all that they all have the exact same talking points, and all people that were accused.
Say this, Niko. This is just the one that got called out.
Yeah.
This is just the one that got to suggest that there aren't others. I had a member of the Democrats ask me, would you be willing to be a spokesperson? And I was like, get the fuck out of here. I said I would be willing to be paid to consult, but no, I would not put my face on the party. And they were like, okay,
they want you to do it in secret too. They want you to make other people believe that you're doing it just out of altruism, because you believe that's the best party, not that you're literally an op for them. That is the sinister part of it. And people don't really talk about it, but there is a difference when you know somebody's an op versus when you think somebody believes that is the best party for you.
So tomorrow morning, I have Views from Amanda Land, which I do every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel, Amanda Seales TV. And we will be talking about what is dark money. You know, I think people simply just don't understand the concept of what that is. And it's a spectrum. You know, there's like gray money and then there's like pitch black money. You know, but like, for instance, like dark money would be using the money from crack sales to fund the Contras in Nicaragua. That is dark money, right? Dark money is also you being paid to push propaganda and not tell nobody that you're being paid to push propaganda. This is both dark money.
That's how. So to give you an example, in politics, that's how I discovered that at the time in 2016, Hillary Clinton's campaign was cheating because of the dark money connections. What they were doing was using super PACs that were not technically connected to Hillary Clinton, paying the individuals on Bernie Sanders' campaign while he was simultaneously paying them directly from his campaign. But you had to know which super PAC to look into.
Say that again.
So
let me do
there
the
were
math.
super PACs that were known for being connected to Hillary Clinton, right? Because they're super PACs that she knew, like everybody just knew, like, because for example, there was the Victory Fund. There was actually supposed to be a progressive Victory Fund in North Carolina at the time because I was at UNC. They made us change the name of the fund, and we were like, why? Well, because the Democratic Party, even though I wasn't part of it, they were arguing with this progressive who was working for Bernie's campaign because they said that would be confused with Hillary Clinton's Victory Fund, and we don't want that. I was like, the hell is Hillary Clinton's Victory Fund? And so I started looking it up, and I figured out that there were a bunch of individuals getting paid by the Hillary Clinton Victory Fund that were simultaneously getting paid by Bernie Sanders' campaign. And a bunch of stuff happened, and then long story short, DNC fraud lawsuit, we ended up going to the Supreme Court. Yeah, but it was because of the dark money connections. And so
wait,
if you didn't know,
they were ops?
They were ops, yeah.
They were moles in the Bernie Sanders campaign?
Yep, not just in the Bernie Sanders campaign, but local campaigns and state campaigns all around the country.
So here's the thing, Niko. When it comes to voting, it's like I don't want to tell people not to vote because, like, I haven't been able to. I can't tell you not to do something unless I can tell you something else to do. But I think what I do want people to understand is like voting is not fair. Like it's voting in the United States is not fair. Like when you watch a movie like Lincoln and they tell you straight up in the movie, corruption. He said, what does he say? Oh, they were like, that's the only way bills get passed. Like if we didn't do bribery, none of these Congress people would be able to pay their bills. Like,
yeah,
so
that's what he said.
It's always what it is. And so I'm just like, no election is fair when money is involved. Like that's just what it. But payola is capitalism. Payola is.
The only reason the reason that you vote, so there are local like municipality elections are extremely important, and ballot initiatives are also very important. But the reason that I say voting is still important isn't necessarily because of the result of the vote, but because of the accountability. Because when there are people that are willing to then challenge whenever someone is cheated, or for example, what we saw in Missouri, whenever they voted for minimum wage, legalization of marijuana, having wages tied to the consumer price index, et cetera. And then the Republican Congress overturned the votes of their Republican constituency. That is important for us to know. So there is a level of accountability that you can have.
What do they do with that? Because they do that all the time. They did that in Missouri with the damn abortion, reproductive rights. They did that in Flint.
They did. So now at that point, but so then you go on about the, figuring out the mechanisms of whatever state or city, because every state has a different way of dealing with it, to deal with it. But like, if people don't vote for it, then we never knew that our legislatures for that particular state or municipality was that corrupt and working against our interests. And now we don't even know it's a problem that we have to deal with until it's too late. So, and then that goes into the next election. Okay, so this congressperson.
It is too late. Like, this is not new, and we have yet to find a solution. And I feel like a big problem, because I feel like a big reason we have yet to find the solutions for this is because it literally just ends up being a cycle of, oh, we'll just vote the next person in. The next person is not going to do anything different than the last person, because that's how the system itself is set up. So like
Yeah,
our
no,
only
that
course
so
of
that
recourse-
part.
our only choice of recourse is don't vote them back in, and that ain't it. Like there has to be like how you know how these Republicans in Congress had set up with your man's come on, who was the first Speaker of the House this term? I be forgetting people's names when I don't like them.
McCarthy? No,
McCarthy.
It was, no,
So
McCarthy?
remember Matt Gaetz and them had pressed McCarthy and was like, we're not going to vote you in unless there is a unless there is a contingency that we can vote you out. Like that is how it should. We should be able to recall motherfuckers whenever, and we can't.
I agree. And technically, there are ways to do so, but like not really, like not practically speaking. You're correct,
Right.
and that. But so the thing is, though, I would say that the reason that it was just like it was very cyclical, and it to some degree it still is, but the reason it was so cyclical before was because people weren't paying attention before, right? They didn't understand how corrupt, in my opinion, these politicians actually were. People were not like, you didn't have algorithms that were literally curated to stop certain political messages from getting out like you have now because of how many people are actually curious about what's going on. I feel like the pandemic changed a lot as far as the way people receive information and how they perceive it. In great ways, in some awful ways, but at least everybody's paying attention. And so whenever people are paying attention, they can finally see at least, okay, there's a problem here. I'm not exactly sure what the problem is, but I'm gonna keep looking until I figure it out. Even if the solutions aren't necessarily present at the time, but you can't even really start to think about a solution unless you know the problem exists. Why would you, right? And you can identify that problem. So now I said a while ago, whenever I first started doing my show, it's going to take about 3 election cycles, and that was about 2.5 to 3 election cycles ago for people to wake up. Because I said, unfortunately, people got fooled by Bernie, and they will get fooled again. They got fooled by the Democratic Party, and they're so scared of Trump that they're going to let themselves believe that the Democrats would not be stupid enough to allow Trump to win again by passing dumb policies and literally allowing, like, I don't know, a genocide to happen. I'm like, yeah, y'all gonna fuck around and find out, because they absolutely will. Y'all don't know the Democratic Party like I do, clearly.
I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to say this because they're dumb enough in terms of the Democratic Party.
No, they're not dumb enough. I know that's what I'm saying. But people believe that the Democrats were ignorant and they weren't expecting, and you know what I'm saying? Like that's what they believe. I'm like, okay, watch, y'all gonna find out. Okay, cool. But then you also have the conservatives that are not that would normally probably make good decisions and vote accordingly. Because like I said, in Missouri, a conservative state, they're out here legalizing marijuana, wanting minimum wage, wanting health, guaranteed leave for maternity and healthcare and things like that. Like, so even in Republican states, they're wanting progressive policies. So it's like, now you have to get over this Trump economy issue, right? He has to screw his base over enough now and get exposed in a way that they don't have an excuse to say, well, he's just doing this because he has to capitulate because he has to run again. And so he has to do this to capitulate to his base and his donors. And this time is going to be different. Now they're realizing, oh shit, goddamn, this just looks like what the Kamala Harris presidency would have looked like. Yeah, that's exactly what the fuck it looks like. I joke all the time on my show. I said, it looks like he goes to sleep every night pillow talking to Kamala about what policy is going to pass the next day. Mm-hmm. Y'all call her Kamala, and he out here sending the National Guard to D.C., a city that isn't even top 3 in crime.
Yeah, but we call her Kamala because she called herself the top cop.
Yeah, which is also true. So, which is my point. There is no difference.
That name. It doesn't change your point, but
there is no difference. That's my point. It's like y'all still they might frame it differently. They might talk differently. They might manipulate the message so that it resonates more with the base. But at the end of the day, it's the same choices. And until y'all start saying we're not going to accept the same choices, I would rather just focus on mutual aid. I would focus on revolutionary actions on the ground, touching people like where they're at versus expecting a federal level politician to give a damn about what's going on in my little city. And instead of rewarding them for genocide, for damn near causing World War III, for constantly adding more and more money to this military budget while people are literally starving in the street, and then saying, well, we got to kick these poor people out of this area. Like, you got gainfully employed people making $60,000, $70,000 a year in California, leaving their tents in a suit to go to work because of policies that Democrats passed back in Obama years, right? Like, that's or banks that got to get off after they screwed over the public because of shit that Kamala did when she was Attorney General, right? So Like at the end of the day, it's the same goddamn flavor. They might call something else, but it's the same thing. It's the same sauce, different flavor. And they both shit. It's both shit sauce. They ain't got no salt. But I was about to say tempero. Like it was seasoned by white people. It ain't no seasoning. It's the same bullshit. I ain't gonna lie to you. So like that's what I get. That's why I felt like it was gonna take about three and a half election cycles for people to actually wake up. Now that social media, the pandemic, and other factors have caused people to start paying attention.
Yes. Well, it's really, I think it's generations more. I look at it as generations rather than election cycles. It's just generations growing up with less and less and less and less. And we know that is what really ends up encouraging resistance.
That is true. When you ain't got nothing to live for.
Hey, listen.
It become real easy to be revolutionary.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and they do it they said this, we're in a cycle. We're in a like this country is built on narcissism, and narcissists exist in a cycle of trauma and abuse. And so
say it again, Amanda, please. Say it again for the people in the back. Say it again for the people in the back, please.
This country was built. This country was built in a narcissist framework, and the narcissist cycle is one of trauma and abuse. And so the way it works is they will love bomb you and make you feel like, oh my God, like we care about you, we care about you, we care about you. And then, they're going to drain you of all of your resources. So that's labor, right? And then you're going to be like, wait, but like, I don't like this. They're going to be like, oh, here's a little breadcrumb to make you feel good about me again. And then you're going to be like, oh my God, you know what? This breadcrumb is a symbol that you really are actually good. And then they're going to be like, yeah, it is. And let me tell you how you fucked up. And then you're like, wait, how did I fuck up? And then they're like, by doing this. And you're like, oh my God, I did fuck up. Oh my God. Please love me again. Love me again. And this is the cycle of a narcissist. Some of you all are triggered right now because you just realized that's your relationship. That is our relationship in the United States. Any of us who are considered working class. And let me just let you know, you are the working class if you are working for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you are the working class. You are working for someone else. If you like, I work for myself. I'm still the working class because I have to work to exist. Like I have to work to subsist. I am not independently wealthy. I cannot just simply kick up my feet and live off of my investments, etc. Because that's really what rich dad, poor dad teaches you. Like, oh, rich people just invest money and the money works for them while they go out and, work for charities and compete in equestrian events. So I say all of that to say that Black people in particular are really deeply embedded in the narcissist cycle of this nation. And we, when you research and you start to understand when you start to understand how short, how compact the time frame is between the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 to 2025, that is not a long time for the amount of discord that has existed. We are now about to be in a third possible war and reconstruction. That is coming. It is inevitable. Remember, I said it. I may not be alive for it, but it's coming. And
girl, shit, you talking about Israel talking about fucking around like next week.
That's wishful thinking. I say I may be alive as if like I'm getting hit by a bus tomorrow. But if I live out my 80 years that I expect to live, I'm gonna be here for it. So I just say all that to say that I think a lot of us, myself, Niko, like the work that we're trying to do is trying to like pull folks out of that narcissist loop. And as somebody who has been with a narcissist in real life, your only way of being saved from a narcissist loop is saving yourself by loving yourself enough to be able to see what they're doing to you. And that is what Black people in this nation are convinced every day not to do. We are convinced that to not love ourselves by not having our history. We're convinced not to love ourselves by being told that, if you want to be a real good Black, you're not going to support the Blacks who are struggling. When we watch that Surrounded, that's a bunch of people who have been convinced that Black is bad. that being black in the traditional American sense is not good, and there needs to be another version of black like created. And so,
man, what about this group? Why does that person? I'm like,
why
what do you have more sympathy?
They don't know nobody from that group and don't know the inner workings of that group, et cetera, et cetera. So, that's the work that so many of us do. Like, that's the work that I do with my art, is really just trying to bring us through knowledge, through history, through self-love. This is the continued work of the Black arts movement, of edutainment. It is really simply just having a self-awareness. When you look at Palestinians and you're like, how are they still going?
Bro,
it's because
I'm trying to tell you.
at some point in this continued process of genocide, they have been able to really knuckle down and say, we will continue to uplift our ethnicity, our culture. We will protect it. We will see doing so as a reason for living.
Yeah,
like
there's so much strength in that you can draw from. Like, as somebody who I would say has been considered somewhat ethnically ambiguous because of my just being a Caribbean from the diaspora. Like, it gets complicated when you live in the U.S.
Where are you
right?
from? You're Dominican?
I'm at Beijing. My family, my mom's side of the family is Beijing.
Beijing is a special kind of thing because Beijing, Barbados was never changed hands. It's been British the whole time.
Yep. And they have another unique characteristic. They are, so where the West of the West Indies, for the most part, had principally Indian immigrants migrate. Barbados, because of the beef between Muslims and Hindus, had principally Bangladeshi immigrants. So like there was a whole thing, like, so whenever they were coming to the States, they were trying to assimilate even amongst other Caribbeans. So Bajans back in the day would just, well, like, we're not gonna really say where we're from. Whereas like you got like Trinis, like they were so prideful, Jamaicans were so prideful. But like Bajans, huh?
And Grenadians don't play. We gonna wave a flag.
Yeah, exactly. But Bajans, it wasn't like that. And which was always kind of interesting to me. I'm like, how are there so many Bajan actresses and actors? But it was because of they had this ability to assimilate, because not necessarily assimilate. They had very unique characteristics and qualities and advantages, aesthetically speaking, because we have these very unique features of like long eyelashes, very unique bone structure. Even our skin tone is somewhat unique compared to the rest of the West Indies. And you actually end up growing up in a struggle trying with your own identity, because you're not black enough, or you're still black to white people, or you're, I lived in the South, which has what I like to affectionately refer to as family reunion black, where everybody knows everybody from like 7 generations ago. Like most of the diaspora doesn't have that, especially Bajans. And so when I was in the South, like, it was funny because I mostly played basketball, but everybody assumed I played soccer. And so until they saw me play basketball, they were like, oh shit, you're good at basketball? But then when I played soccer, everybody would like pick me first because they just assumed I was good at it. I mean, I am good at it, but like, is it because I'm Asian? It just was a coincidence. And as I got older and started realizing that we have humanity has a reflective, especially in the US, we have a reflexive reaction to like our visual cues, right? Something that is familiar, we're more likely to be accepting of off of the initial interaction. But when it is not familiar, you begin to question, what kind of black is that? What kind of what is my brother? He looks like he's just a mix of black and white. So he had his own issues for being light skinned, but like it wasn't the same as what I was having, not being any skin. It was like, oh, you're a red bone, basically, is what I was dealing with for the majority of my life. The first time I didn't feel like that was actually when I moved to Brazil, because Brazil is Brazil, and so everybody just knows I was a Brazilian. And I walk around the street and no one is thinking about what kind of black I am, which was extremely relieving, because even if I walk into a room full of black people, they're trying to figure out what kind of black I am in the States, right? So it's a very people don't know, like, that was actually. So now you get to Hollywood. So who are, especially in the 90s, we're talking about 90s, early 2000s. You go, obviously Rihanna, who they try to kind of pitch as like being Jamaican, but like, no, she's obviously Bajan. LL Cool J, ASAP Rocky, Cuba Gooding Jr., his brother, Mos Def. There are so all these. Oh, DJ Jam Master Grandmaster Flash. I mean, I was going through Megan Good. There's this huge list of just superstars that are all Bayesian. And I'm like, that is super weird. And why do they? Because it's so. For example, I'm watching Boys in the Hood, and I'm thinking to myself, objectively speaking, Morris Chestnut is like a more handsome character than Cuba Gooding Jr. Why didn't they just make him the main character? Because that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, it's Morgan Chestnut. Like, and after a while, it's like, oh, because Cuba Gooding Jr., you could put his face on a poster and sell it to white people because of his soft European features. What they refer to as soft European features.
Cuba Gooding Jr.'s soft European features.
That's what they do. They take the whitest black person who could still be considered black amongst black people, but still could be pitched to white people. And so you make that person the main character.
I don't know. I think we've gone into. I think we've taken it a little tinfoil.
That is a thing.
That's a light skin. He's just. He don't got none of his features are European. No. When
I say soft European features, as in he's not dark skin like Taye Diggs. He doesn't have these dark brown eyes. Like, yeah, those people are like, objectively speaking, Morris Chestnut, in my opinion, is more handsome than Cuba Gooding Jr. Like, normally that would be the
light skin.
Huh?
Cuba Gooding Jr. is just light skin.
Yeah, but to white people.
I think also he's a different actor. I mean, I think, for what it's worth, I think that he was, I think that if I'm thinking from a producer mindset, as someone who, can cast, let me say this too. Mm-hmm. The only reason I would debunk, one of the main reasons I would debunk this theory is namely because it was an indie. So they weren't even thinking, with the same mindset of features in that time. That was what was so beautiful about the 90s, was that these black movies got to be made in independent houses, but still get feature distribution because they would make money, right? So like my husband on Insecure, Wade Elaine Marcus, his mother was one of the producers that made this film happen, right? That was at a studio and said, oh, this indie is happening. We need to bring this in. But like Cuba Gooding Jr. as an actor and what's it called? Morris Chestnut, like in those roles, I wouldn't believe Morris Chestnut as an innocent young man in that time frame because he is too fine. Like I wouldn't believe he's too fine. Like I wouldn't believe that he's like nervous around girls. Like this nigga, he was a fine baby. Like it's just, you can't. So I think there's also that factor. But I do believe
my question would be,
was one of the great things about the 90s was that we saw black movies that were made in the vision of black creatives. Whereas now, whenever we see literally anything, whether it's a black movie or the Gilded Age, you can know that it has been given notes down to the ground for things that are not really about upholding artistry.
So my question would be then, so about this whole thing that happened like consistently throughout the 90s during the sitcom shows like Will Smith, and Viv was changed to a lighter skinned woman. And then My Wife and Kids, whenever the daughter was changed to a light skinned girl. And then what was the other? There's another show in the 90s.
Yeah, but that's network television. I'm talking about.
But that's my point. Like, so I see your point about the Morris Chestnut situation, but I'm saying like that was a consistent thing that I like after I went back and wrote, I'm like, oh shit, this is actually something that does happen a lot. And that's kind of weird that it would happen that often. What would be the real motivating factor? Because it isn't necessarily it can't be acting every single time.
No, racism and colorism. Yeah. But those are
exactly.
Those.
Yeah, that is my point. Is at the end of the day, it's, even with musical artists, at times there is a certain level of promotability.
Cla B, get them out of here. Get Cla B out of here.
What's
Amanda Seales, the Democrat.
Cla B?
Shut the fuck up. Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Thank you. Carry on.
No, but I was just saying, like even in the music industry, you see this attempt to push, what they believe is aesthetically more marketable, right? Like, I mean, I remember that beef back in the day whenever you saw like Taylor Swift all of a sudden trying to basically act like or dance like a black woman or what they would consider to be a stereotypical black woman,
Miley
or even
Cyrus.
rap. And like the same stuff that they would say would be considered untasteful or distasteful if a black person would do it. Literally, Taylor Swift is doing the same shit, and all of a sudden she's making billions. It's like, well, hold on, I thought y'all said that it was distasteful. No, it's distasteful as you do it, but if we do it, it's different. You get what I'm saying? So like that, but basically my overall point was I had realized that like to some degree, like even for me, I'm like, damn, do I get a certain level of privilege that I didn't know about because I'm not as dark skinned at times? Because I had never considered such a thing as a black person. And I had to take a step back and be like, holy shit, I wonder if people perceive me different because I'm lighter than this person. I wonder if my brother is perceived different because he's lighter. And I'm like, do we have this is like maybe like 6 years ago that I'm starting to finally realize like even within our own community, we have so much that we have to resolve because of how deep colorism and racism goes and how we aren't taught to love ourselves in every shade the way like white people are. I mean, white people in America love, they're like, man, it's nothing wrong with being white. Motherfucker, who said that there was anything wrong with being white? Why do you keep screaming that? Like, why do you have to?
There's absolutely something wrong with being white.
Huh?
Absolutely. Yes.
Well,
there's absolutely
in the States, for them, there's never been a problem with being white. In fact, being white's been awesome.
When you out here being like, I'm white, I'm like, shut that shit up. That's not cute. Your whole existence is for the purpose of oppression. Like there's one thing to be black and have to, like, what I believe that we don't do enough of is the delineating between race, ethnicity, nationality, etc. Right? So race is not real. Race is literally just based on how you look. So at the end of the day, like there is something very real to saying like, okay, I face these specific hindrances, or I get these specific privileges based on how I look or my juxtaposition to something else. So as a light-skinned person, I get certain privileges based on my juxtaposition, you know, to how I look in the racial category. As an ethnicity, I would say as a light-skinned person, I don't get those privileges because within the black community that I want to be a part of, because I don't align myself with black colorists, you know, that black community will often look at light-skinned people as like, you desire to be juxtaposed with white people just from existing in this skin, which is not the case. Like, you know, so I have no desire to be juxtaposed with white bullshit, white oppression, white none of that. And if I sense anything like it, I'd be like, get me the F out of here. I don't align with that. So, you know, I think the failure to be able to delineate between these very important differences and distinctions is what gets us caught up in arguing shit that we don't even need to be arguing. Like someone who's mixed with a black parent and a white parent, like you're not half white.
No, you're black.
You're there's no juxtaposition to race that is going to be determined because of your white parent. You either look white or you don't. That's it. Yeah. Now, ethnicity wise, you have half things going on and you have duality. And, you know, the fact that we even have to have terms like duality is just also us perpetuating this whole colonialist BS. Like, you know, the concept of ADOS as a conceptual thing makes sense to me. Yes, there are American descendants of chattel slavery that should be compensated for what they have contributed to this nation. However, then it crosses over into this whole like weird preservation of ethnic purity that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's where it gets a little bit.
Realistically, by nature of being an American descendant of chattel slavery, you had no control in preserving. Like that's
that's true.
How can you simultaneously want to ground your whole mission and vision in this, while the reality is that because of this, you could not preserve purity? You couldn't.
Yeah, it's like, are you more concerned about the reparation, or are you more concerned about preserving this purity of what you think y'all were, or like it's like white people. I mean, it's kind of like white people, right?
The reality around genealogy and around recessive traits, etc. And humans, like there's an oversimplification that ends up being just a continual perpetuation of imperialism, of capitalism, of all those things. And at the end of the day, to me, the only goal should be, how do we shut this shit the fuck down?
Mm-hmm.
And how do we get as many of us on the same page to shut this shit down? That's it. If you're not with that, then I don't really understand why you get to be like supported. That should be the only goal. And so like every day
it's the narcissism.
I try to tell people this is what it is. We need more. The resistance is recruiting. That's what I wake up every day to do. This is what this is. And I feel like it's working. I feel like more and more people are saying to me, oh, okay, I didn't see it. Now I'm seeing it. And that's what we do on Views from Amanda Land. You know, that's what we do.
It's a lot of work, a lot of patience, but it's the thing that you said about the narcissism. Like, because the West is kind of like the foundation of culture around the world because of imperialism, like that narcissism has kind of supplanted logic. It's supplanted empathy, unfortunately, and people immediately go for self-interest and it's really out of anxiety and survival, right? Because I always say, when you think about like our last three presidents were who? Donald Trump, Joe Biden, who literally has lost multiple times because of shit like he was stealing other people's speeches. The reasons that he lost before were ridiculous, and then y'all like thought he somehow found his way to the top of the party that's supposed to be pro-black. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. But then you get to Donald Trump again. I'm saying, okay, so let's just ignore the Trump crowd. Let's just go straight for the Democrats because y'all feel like y'all the altruists. How did he get back up there and then become the president of the United States if one person didn't look the other way, and then the next person didn't look the other way, and the other person next to them, everybody who could have stopped him on the way to the top had to look the other way, whether or not you thought you were a good person or not. And so why did you look the other way? And like, how are you in this position still? Because if I was in that position, I wouldn't be in that position anymore, basically. And I've had plenty. The Democratic Party has been trying to recruit me, or at least they were trying to recruit me since I was like 23, 24 years old. And it had really nothing to do with the policies I advocated for. It was all superficial aesthetic reasons. And it was like, oh, you're really well-spoken. Okay, I'm not really sure what that means. Well, like, you're very charismatic. Okay, like, how is that going to help get policies passed? Like, what about this policy? Well, and nothing to do with that. It was like, you can be successful because you have these superficial traits that we could use to benefit the Democratic Party. Okay, but what about the people that you're supposed to be working for? So now you get to this mass that I realized that, like I said, when I first did shrooms, Amanda, that was when I realized what you had said about this world, or this country at least, being ran and foundationalized in narcissism and ego. And until you can remove that ego and see that, you don't even realize that almost every single interaction you have with somebody, you're actually having it with your ego and not them truly. And until people realize that and are willing to actually remove that ego when they engage in conversations, you're not going to see that. We're not going to see that change, which is why it's so important to have patience to give people grace. And if you don't mind, I would, because you brought this up on Sabby's show too, like how you had to have a personal evolution over the years because of the perceptions that you thought, the perception that you had about the world back then, and then like after you had started paying more attention and went through your own personal experiences, you realize like, oh no, all these people are full of shit. Like, how did that evolution go for you?
First of all, I just want you to know I have to go soon. It's been an hour.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Oh man, I didn't realize it's been an hour already.
How did that evolution go for me? I, like so many of us, I love television. So let's start there. I love TV, right? So I feel like, and my mom watches the news, and, like I grew up watching pundits. I grew up watching people on the news talk about things. And I have never been interested in geopolitics or politics, right? I've been interested in Black identity, Black history, social justice, but I would like separate. I had this thing in my mind that somehow these things are separated. They're not, but in my mind, it was like, this is happening over here with these white people in these suits. And, you know, the knowledge that I am learning about, you know, how we got here is not the same. And I think a lot of that is the way that we're taught. Like, we're not really taught about how legislation is connected to social justice and social injustice, right? We're not really taught that politicians are lawmakers. Like, yes, that makes sense. But for what it's worth, in the United States, they are very often kind of like sequestered over here in the White House doing their thing. And then things are just happening. Things are just happening. And so I think that I was I know people are going to love when I say this. I was a victim of that. Because, you know, they love to call me a victim. So I just did it for you. Right. So essentially, I grew up really and I'm also an academic in the fact that I respect people's expertise. Right. So if you are in a space and you're doing the thing in that space, I'm going to default to you because you're the expert until I start doing my work at expertise. And what happened to me was, I would say, starting with 2020, starting with COVID and Black Lives Matter, I started to force myself out of this head in the sand behavior around politics and really encouraged myself to arm myself with knowledge, because I felt like I had been bowled over in 2020 with being influenced to encourage people to vote against Trump and vote for Joe Biden. I didn't need to be encouraged to like tell people not to vote for Trump, because I'm just like, don't vote for that nigga. He's the worst. But I was telling people, you know, even if you're going to vote for Biden, like, he's still full of shit and we need to hold him accountable. And the Democrats around me, who I felt were a lot more knowledgeable than me, were very much like, no, you can't do that. You can't shit on him. You can't challenge him, or else people are not going to vote, you know? So you need to, and I trusted their expertise. I trusted that these are people who have been in this space. I am just now coming into this, so let me just default to their expertise. And it's not to say that we shouldn't trust experts, but they're not experts. And that's
exactly. That's what you realize. That's kind of what you end up realizing. Like, they're not actually experts. Oh shit.
They're not actually experts. They get these jobs where they have these roles as so-and-so analyst, and I work for such and such administration, etc. But ultimately, they are not experts. They are establishment. They are literally just pawns to continue to slow the growth of resistance within the Black people, and literally just the working class in general. They are the executors of excellence. Their role is to literally keep people moving in this goal of assimilation as your access to safety versus resistance as your access to liberation. That's what the film Sinners is all about. Like, we got tricked. They said, come over here and rock with us and you're going to be safe. And no, your soul gets stolen over and over again. And your only role is to get more motherfucking souls stolen. So when I'm talking about like my change, it was in me realizing, oh shit, these people don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they will hold up establishment. And the big moment that was my like, whoop, was first when all these people that I thought were experts had no issue with Kamala Harris agreeing with Tim Scott that this is not a racist country. They were like, what do you expect her to say? So that was inflection moment number one. Inflection moment number two was Palestine.
Yeah, that was... For a lot of people, it's sad that it took literally a genocide for people to wake up. But that Tim Scott moment with Kamala Harris was super strange, especially considering like she kind of ran on being Black, not once, but like twice. And then it's like, yeah, but racism isn't America isn't a racist country. Oh, it's like, are you the same girl that was just like, and that little girl, that was me. That was you on the debate stage, right? Like, okay, that's weird, but okay, let's fast forward. So genocide. What about?
Well, she had no choice. I mean, that's what she said to me. You know, what do you expect me to do? And, you know, I just watched Lincoln the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a certain point where it's just like the capitulating, if it continues, like it's not, I think, continuing to capitulate to racism continues to keep it popping. Like, that's just it. You understand? Like, yes, the 13th Amendment required a certain capitulation because there was an overwhelming majority of people in Congress that simply refused to acknowledge the equality of Black people to white people as humans. So the only way to get it through and cross the finish line was to make it not about us being equal humans, but about us equal in the law. So they had to do some weird little capitulation language to make that happen. It is 2025, and we're still doing shit like that. We're still performing these dances of capitulation when we really don't have the same limitations, in my opinion. We don't have, you know, a Congress that gets to basically just perform and do its duties under the quiet of silence. No, there's C-SPAN. We can see the shit. We can watch it. So they don't have
They can't hide, but yet somehow they're still hiding. Like, what the fuck? What's going on, y'all?
You know? So it's like the fact that we are still doing these things instead of just blowing the shit up means like, oh, it's because you're serving another master. You're not serving the people, you're serving the corporations and the lobbyists that run this country. And so ultimately, if you cannot simply just be in position of, if you're going to go in there and not be in a position of resistance, I don't see the point. I don't see what the value is of having someone in there just because they have more melanin. I don't know how is that valuable? I don't see it. I don't get it. And I was convinced that was enough. I was convinced that that was enough. And I was convinced that that was enough, not just in politics, but everywhere. And when I saw post-October 7th, because it's never post-Palestine, it's always now Palestine, up and down and sideways. But when I saw post-October 7th, how willing so many Black folks in these positions of expertise, quote unquote, were to just ignore it and to not align it with the actual people who are funding it because they felt like they were gonna then be seen as a traitor. I said, we not the same.
Yep. It's like traitor to who? To who? Like,
to Democrats.
That's what I'm exactly. It's like
they're literally calling themselves, they're literally seeing being a Democrat as a personality trait. And when I heard that, I said, well, Amanda, I guess you done crossed over.
So my last question would be just really quick before we sign off is like, do you feel like there had to be some almost reconciliation with yourself because you knew like the moment that you make that decision, that you make that switch, given that club and the level of exclusivity there is in that club?
Like, out the club anyway.
Well, yeah, fair. But you know, did you know like I'm going to have to face the fact there's going to be a lot more self-sacrifice and everything I do is going to be harder because I'm trying to complete this mission that I'm on while simultaneously trying to live in capitalism.
It's not harder.
It's not harder.
No. Because
really, you feel like it's not harder. You feel like explain.
Because when you are really living in purpose, you're not being drained in the same context as when you are living in expectation. Society creates expectations for you that you constantly feel like you got to live up to. And if those things aren't actually aligned with your purpose, then you are constantly going to be in exhaustion. You're constantly feeling drained because you're constantly in conflict with yourself. Once you align with the path of actual humanity, of actual soul-driven purpose and intention, yes, you may have struggles. Yes, you will have to make sacrifices, but they don't feel like you are losing a part of yourself. You feel like you're pruning yourself. You know, like there are plants in nature that require pruning in order to grow more, in order to expand more. So once you're in that phase, it's a different way of existing. I don't feel like I am having to struggle in the same way, even though I don't have the same finances, even though I don't have the same network, but I also don't want the same things. I used to want to consistently figure out how to get the bigger house and the bigger car, because that's all everyone did around me.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's just dumb. I feel very, 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 very fortunate that I was able to gain financial freedom due to my talents being recognized. I also know that I worked really hard to get my talents recognized. So I'm not going to I'm not going to give away that. I just feel like it's perspective changes everything. And ultimately I am not, I use perspective on how I manage things all throughout my day. Like I'm still 10 years old. I'm autistic, so I got to do certain shit just to get through certain shit. Like I'll be like,
hey, that one. Same here. I got 2 kids and 1 on the way, and I still be on like,
I'm gonna make everything a game. Everything is a game. How fast can I wash these dishes? How, like everything is to have some.
I was studying with my oldest son yesterday because he had the English exam today, and literally, every time we study together, I have to make it a game because he has ADHD also. So it's like I'm autistic as hell, trying to help out my also ADHD son, and I'll be like hyping him up because it's a different reaction if you hyping him up. Versus like, oh, you're not doing it right.
I had to tell my gymnastics coach that before I even knew my own autism. I had to tell my gymnastics coach when I was 12, hey, I know that you be yelling at all these white girls and telling them like, you're screwing up. God damn it, Amy. Why do you expect to win like that? And I say, bro, like you can yell, but it needs to be positive. You can be in that same volume. I'm from a Caribbean household. I've been yelled at from the day is done till the day is done. You can yell, but I need you to change the wording. And so he started yelling, come on, Tiger! Come on! Yeah, that's right. And that, I was like, yeah, I'll allow it. Yeah. And that changed everything.
Like, you can do, you're better than that. Like
positive to me too.
Look, I'm trying to tell you, that's what I like. That is whenever I'm talking to my son. And I catch myself at times, but a lot of times I'm like, hey, bro, come on, bro, you know better. Like, you know how smart you are. Why are you playing? Like, I talk to him like that when he messes up, and then he kind of like starts giggling because he's like, oh yeah, you're right. Versus like, man, stop being stupid. Stop, like, because it would diametrically affect the way that he perceives himself.
I talk to myself that way. I had to stop shitting on myself. I had to stop yelling at myself. Now I refer to myself as my love. Y'all will see me talking to myself and I am referring to myself as my love. Like I will make a mistake and I'll be like, damn it. And I'm like, my love.
Yeah, so I'll say you smart ass motherfucker. That's what I actually say. Like, you smart ass motherfucker. Why you do that dumb shit? You smarter than that.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, you're right. Amanda, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having
everybody,
me.
Please go follow Amanda's, subscribe to Amanda's channel. I'll put it in the description. So you can go follow her there. She's also, what's your Instagram handle? I'll put it in the description after the show. But
my Instagram handle is Amanda Seales TV. You can join us every Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern for Views for Amanda Land. It's live. You can also be a part of the replay crew. You can follow me on Instagram at Amanda Seales. You can subscribe to my Patreon, which is also my name, Amanda Seales. And I will be doing another free performance of What Would the Ancestors Say, my one-woman show this Saturday, September 6th at the People's Forum in New York City. You can go to peoplesforum.org to get more information.
Awesome. And if y'all subscribe to her, she's always posting. Always. Like, you always getting some nugget. Hey, she wake up and post, y'all. You know, she dread too. Shout out to Dread Gang. Like, she wake up. I'm like, damn, I don't got
kids. I don't got no kids. I don't got no man. It's me, the cats, and the dog. I got time to post.
Look, I know, I love it. I love because it like sometimes like watching us, I'm like, damn it, Niko, why didn't you get up and say something this morning about it? Because I was thinking about it. I had a whole conversation with my wife about it. I was talking to my friend about it in my group chat, and I could have just went live, but no, my dumb ass thinking like, oh man, I look tired as hell right now. I'm not about to do this. But that's what expectations, right? Like that's when you gotta like get over the expectations with everybody. Whatever you think people are expecting of you, it just like people don't watch you because you're cute. I mean, some of them do, but most of them watch because they actually care about. Sometimes.
I watched and I'm like, damn, you really aged, nigga. You really aged. I said that in my video this morning. I was like, wow, look at you. You
I'm
have lived
seasoned.
on
Like,
Earth for 44 years, ma'am.
that's
Yes,
so
you
crazy
have.
to me that you're 44. When you said like, that can't be right. I thought she was like 33, 34, maybe like, at the most. Yeah, for
Yay!
real. Like,
That's no
you said
water, no
44?
drugs. No water,
Hey,
no
look, I'm trying to tell
drugs.
you. Clean living, clean living. Thank you so much, Amanda. And for everybody else, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of For the People Podcast. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. You can support the show by becoming a premium subscriber here on YouTube or joining our Patreon, whichever way helps. And if all you can do is afford to share, that helps as well. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, always remember more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.